Right lads, man, it's Kebab here, and I like FPS games. Okay, now that all the fans of the red-haired plumber guilty of mass murder are gone, it's time to talk about one of the most influential games of all time. A game that solidified the Xbox's spot in the console market and transformed the FPS genre forever. Halo Combat Evolved, the first in the Halo series and flagship launch title of the Xbox. Now just to clarify, I played Halo, but I'm not a super fan. As a kid I skipped the first two, played a tiny bit of 3, but spent the majority of my time playing Reach. And 4, but that's not something I openly admit. Do I look like I want to get bullied? Combat Evolved is very often hailed as one of the founders of the modern FPS genre, introducing many elements unseen up until that point. Regenerating health, the limit of only carrying 2 weapons, and of course the famous system link, creating the magic of LAN parties. Now where else to start but the campaign, and yeah, it's Halo alright. Combat Evolved has a simple-ish story, laying the groundwork for the series going forth. We start off in the Pillar of Autumn, emerging from Slipspace, a kind of B-Tech hyperspace, and coming across the Halo Ring, an ancient device built by the Forerunner. We're 53 words in and I'm already lost. With the Covenant attacking, an alliance of aliens who hate humanity because who wouldn't? The Master Chief is awoken from his cryosleep to save the day. However, in the attack, the Autumn is heavily damaged, forcing Captain Keyes to order an abandoned ship. During his escape, Chief is entrusted to protect Cortana, a hyper-intelligent AI who possesses information of high importance, most notably the location of Earth. After crash landing on the Halo Ring, Chief meets up with Sergeant Johnson, with the two pairing up to rescue Keyes from the Covenant ship Truth and Reconciliation. After the rescue, Cortana begins to believe Halo is some sort of weapon, worshipped by the Covenant. They should just rename it Texas, the video game. When Chief and Cortana attack the Silent Cartographer, Halo's map room, and then to its control room, Cortana is proven correct, but also finds there is another, more dangerous threat aboard Halo, something that terrifies even the Covenant. The Flood, an ancient parasitic race who consume everything in their path. In a bid to stop the Flood, Chief teams up with Halo's AI, 343 Guilty Spark, who tells Chief the activation of Halo will eradicate the Flood. However, this is discovered to be a lie by Cortana, who tells us that it actually wipes out the Flood's food, any and all sentient life, human and Covenant alike. With this, Chief and Cortana set about on a mission to destroy Halo, first sabotaging its generators, and then overloading the engines of the Autumn, escaping Halo before it explodes, and appearing to be the sole survivors. The gameplay here is what you'd expect from an early 2000s shooter, but with a twist. Of course the controls aren't as smooth and fluid as modern games, but still aren't alienating. Playing this on an original Xbox is a little odd, especially with the lack of bumpers, but there is worse things in the world, like if you tried playing Mario Kart Wii, regenerating health exists but only for shields, with health packs supplementing the rest. The combat here, it just feels right. You feel the kick of your guns, power in your punches. The game does an excellent job at demonstrating the power of a Spartan. The enemies here are great. We have a wide variety between the grunts, who basically serve as target practice and often flee in fear, the annoying bastards that are jackals, elites, and of course hunters, filling the kind of tank role. Each have their own dialogue and iconic lines such as Lo siento, no hablo español. We have a large variety of UNSC and Covenant weapons and vehicles, such as the Warthog, Magnum, and Needler, with pickups like Overshield also existing. This game innovates in numerous ways when it comes to gameplay. Again, players are now limited to only 2 weapons, meaning your weapon selection is now more important than ever. Grenades were given separate buttons, the AI is pretty advanced with them diving out of the way of vehicles and providing suppressive fire, the aforementioned health system, the blend of vehicular combat, and a tight mix of story and gameplay. For its time, this game was ahead of everything else, and served as a basis for future games to copy. The levels, these kinda have me split. We have levels like Halo and the Silent Cartographer that are fun, open-ended, and colourful levels. But then there's levels like the library that just drag on and on with endless corridors that all look the fucking same. Don't get me wrong, these levels are incredibly diverse and all have unique environments, each with their own terrain and colour palettes. The swamps of 343 Guilty Spark, the alien engineering of Truth and Reconciliation, but some of these can be almost maze-like, in which I got lost in trying to find the next room numerous times on my first playthrough. I may get some flack for this, but to me the levels here are cool, they work, but later games do a much better job. Multiplayer in Combat Evolved is a tricky one, mainly because I have only one controller. Combat Evolved revolutionised LAN parties back in the early 2000s. The idea of connecting 4 consoles to allow up to 16 people to play, having huge gatherings of friends over for hours of competitive fun, was unheard of in 2001. It's just a pity Halo 2 made it useless 3 years later. Now I only have one controller and one Xbox, so unfortunately local multiplayer isn't exactly an option. But through the power of the Master Chief Collection, we can explore Halo Combat Evolved's multiplayer. As you can expect, it is more primitive than its follow-ups, but Combat Evolved still introduces series staple modes like Slayer and Capture the Flag, along with fan favourite maps like Blood Gulch. The multiplayer is of course very reminiscent of the campaign, with pretty much the same gameplay coming over, but with the option to choose between smaller or big team battles. The multiplayer is incredibly fun, however its follow-ups did a better job, which is to be expected. And that is Halo Combat Evolved. Of course it may seem a bit bare bones today, but without this game, the FPS genre would not be what it is today. This game's follow-up definitely gets a lot of the praise, however the original still has something special about it. It's not called Halo 1. Now, how will I get all the Nintendo fans back on side, you may ask? It's pretty simple. Introducing Mario Galaxy 3.